The U.S. PC industry has paid out $16.8 billion for asbestos and environmental claims over the past 5 years, while incurring $12 billion in losses. Based on AM Best's most recent estimates, the PC industry has funded approximately 90% of the aggregate $146 billion in A&E exposures. But arriving at these estimates is no simple task, as our next guest will confirm. Here to walk us through AM Best's most recent report on the A&E segment is Director Brian O'Lardy. And Brian, with respect to losses incurred and claims paid out, which side had the more significant development in 2018, asbestos or environmental?
It was asbestos. As in 2018, asbestos paid out of $2.1 billion and only incurred $1.4. And over the past 5 years, and actually 5 years plus, the payments have been a lot larger than incurred. On the 5 years, they paid out $14 billion compared to only $9 billion in incurred.
Can you take us through some of the other key findings?
Yeah, well, there's some usual, nothing really unusual happened this year, but I mean, there has been 8 large groups that have incurred $100 million or more in asbestos and environmental. These 8 are the usual players, the Travelers of the world, the AIGs of the world. They have usually been developing about $100 million on an annual basis. Environmental had a big bump a little bit from one group. It was CNA, but that was something, it's unusual. The other unusual thing is 2018 was the 18th straight year the asbestos payments was over $2 billion. When you compare that to an environmental, over the last 10 years, the payments has only averaged around $800 million, which is far short of its high in the 1990s, where it averaged about $2 billion.
Can you talk to us about some of the recent litigation as it relates to asbestos exposure from contaminated talcum baby powder and the potential impact on insurers?
Well, that's an unknown, that's for sure. Johnson & Johnson has claimed there's no asbestos in there, which could lead to an insurance claim. If it was asbestos, it will probably put pressure, or we can see if their exclusions, which they have been put in place in the 90s, will hold up. It's a huge unknown in the industry. Some of the large players still don't think there's any kind of action against them, but only time will tell on that. We're just not sure how it's going to play out in the courts.
Brian O'Lardy, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
You're welcome.
You can find the full report online at ambest.com. For AM Best TV, I'm John Weber.